So guys, in this video we are going to see three major features which is added in the Angular 17. So as we all know, like 3 months back Angular released this version called Angular 17. So major changes happen in the Angular 17. So which means as we all know they have removed this app.module.ts, which is like a common file. We used to mention all these things. But in this Angular 17 they have removed, and they came up with a file called app.config.ts. So where you can mention all of your libraries, but we don't need to mention our components, because in the Angular below 17 we used to mention all of our components in app.module.ts, right? But in this one we don't need to mention all these things. And one more thing, so in this video we are going to see three major features which is added in the Angular 17. So first one is ngFor. So this ngFor is very popular for looping the data. When you want to bind the array into your HTML page, we used to do this ngFor, correct? So let and all these things, you know the syntax. But in Angular 17, we can use, there's a new syntax called @for, which helps us to do the same thing, but with the appropriate format actually. So let me show you how I have done. So in terms of the data, it's the same only. It's the same array only. There is no difference. Only thing is, here in our in this place we need to mention as the same array only here also having the line number 21, but here I'm just having a simple for here. So which means I'm having a simple for loop here. Instead of writing ngFor, we can write for. Here we have to use the same let you, sorry, just the same syntax, but it's not by the ngFor. And also we need to use this track of $index. This is just for tracking purposes, and mainly for optimization. Angular introduced this concept, and inside this one everything same, like whatever we are going to do in our ngFor, the same thing only. Only the ngFor syntax, instead of writing on the element itself, we can write outside of the element. It's like a normal for loop which we are using in the normal programmatical way. Okay, so now let me run the application and let's see how this is working. Okay, it's no need actually. Okay, it's a new, yesterday only I just learned this one. So fine. Okay, let is not needed. So go on to this one of this output. So localhost home, and here you can see this output, right? So it's just nothing but that array will be printed in our file actually here. Okay, the above one, it's a header component, that leave it. So here this is the output which is coming from the array. Okay, so let me shrink the window, let me split the window now. Okay, so here I'm going to just add one more data, and let's see immediately will it able to print or not. So I hope you can able to see the code, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some more data in the array, and let's see will it occur. So in the test 3, I'm going to add one more test 4. So as soon as I'm adding, it will be added to our application. Sorry, which means it will be added to the array, and you can see that is getting printed in the browser. Okay, so which means our Angular 17 that ngFor syntax is working fine. So for u of user track index, and you can able to see the output properly. Okay, so this is how you can add our syntax, which is called that ngFor. We can add it to our application. Okay, so now with this implementation we can move on to the next concept, which is added in the Angular 17 feature. So the concept is called ngIf. So in Angular below 17 we used to have this ngIf to hide and show the elements, correct? If the boolean value becomes true, it will hide the element. If it is false, I think, okay, if it is true, I think I think it will show the element. If it is false, it will hide the element, right? The same thing here also we can able to do it. So but here we don't need to use this the same, we don't need to write on in the element. We can write @if with the show here. Okay, so which means this is just a variable, and inside that condition we need to write if that condition becomes true, it will show the value. If it is false, it will not show. But here we have the else also. If you want to have, you can use this else, otherwise we can ignore it. Okay, so this else is optional. The way how we are doing in the programming, the same thing, this is optional here. Fine. So now let me show you how we can able to use this one. So here already I have a variable which is boolean. In the ts file I have declared already. So if you see the ts file of this one, already I'm having a one boolean variable. Okay, so let me see like how it is working. As you can see here, it is showing, which means the variable is true here, so we can able to see this component. Okay, let me try to change it at false. So now what will happen, it will hide the element. Okay, as you can see here, the else is coming. The reason why else is coming, because the variable becomes false, so we can see that output is like this. Okay, with this implementation I will try to remove this else condition, and you can see that will not throw any error, but still it will not show any output, because I am having only if condition. If condition becomes true, it will show, otherwise nothing. we will do one more scenario. Here I will back to this true here for this variable which we are using there. Okay, save this one and go to this place, and here now it is showing. Okay, which means the variable becomes true. So now we can able to see the value for the if conditions. Okay, so this is how we can use this if condition. We don't need to use ngIf like which we are using previously. Okay, fine. So with this concept, we will move on to our the major feature which is added in the Angular 17 is called deferable. Okay, so defer means it will load the components only when it's necessary, or it will not be added to the main file. So that particular component will be in the separate file. It will not be added to our output. So I will show you how we can. There is an annotation called, or we can say decorator, which is called defer here. Okay. So now here, generally we used to include one more component in another component, means we need to mention this tag name, right, which means the selector. Here, along with the selector, I just wrapped with the dot at the rate of defer. So what happens is like this alone will load only after the page loads. I think here you can able to see the output here. If you see the network, okay, let me refresh the application. You can able to see that in the network you can easily understand there is a last file, the chunk file, right? So this file you can see that about component alone will be loaded separately. The reason why it is loading separately means because we have added the defer here. So whenever we are using a defer here, it loads that particular component only after the page loads. Okay, so before and all the components will be added in the same file, and everything will be loaded in a when the page is getting loaded, parallelly everything will get loaded. But when it comes to this, when you are adding a defer here, when all the other contents are gets loads, then only it goes for the defer here. Okay, this is the one scenario of the defer here. Is understandable? And one more thing, not only loading, here you can see that particular file will be loaded only after all others are completed. Okay, so which means not only in the file, even the content of the file also is separated from the main file actually here. Okay, so this is one concept. There is for the defer, there is a lots of variations available. Now we will see only one variation, which means I don't want to load this component after the page loads. I need to load this component only whenever I am hovering on the particular element. Okay, so here what we can do, we can have some simple concept which is called this one. So here what happens is like, now whenever I am hovering on this placeholder, then only the line number 14 will get executed. Okay, so if you see the output here, okay, let me. So whenever I'm hover on the placeholder, which means when I'm going to hover the mouse on the particular placeholder, then only that component will be loaded. So let me do it here. Now can you see this one? Whenever I'm hovering on that, this particular component will be loaded, and also you can see that file will be loaded only when I'm hovering. Otherwise, that file will not be loaded. So you understood it. So this is how we can easily mention that deferable. You can not just after the page loads. You can have the conditions also. Like I want to load this component only mouse hover, or only after the certain timing. All these things we can use this deferable. But this is just an example I am showing here. If you want to know this defer this concept, you can just search for the Angular documentation. So there you can see like what are all the different variations for this deferable views actually here. Okay, this is called viewport, and when the condition becomes true, you want to show this one, and idle, on viewport, on interaction. So all these things they will give you. This I shown you on hover, on immediate, on timer. Timer means like based on particular timing you want to show. So like this, there is a lots of different variations available. You can just do it. Okay, this deferable is like a. I hope this like a little more significant topic in terms of front end, correct? Because in the front end applications, only we need to show some content. Most of the content we will load only after the certain page loading. So this concept will be available. I think it will be useful in developers, front end developers, to make the page load faster, correct? So we will load all other components, maybe that other components after the page loads, and this will help you to make our page faster. Okay. So I think this differ is like, it's not like any replacement in the lower versions. So this is, I hope this is newly added in the Angular in 17 versions. And then ngIf, sorry, the if decorator, and then for this one, I don't know this I don't know how to call this decorator or anything. As of now, I'm just using this word. So this for condition in the HTML, and also this conditions. Okay. So that's what, guys. So in case if we have time, we will see other advantages of this Angular 17. So this is the major features that which I read the documentation. In the upcoming videos, we will see what are other features are available in Angular 17. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.